So students, it's your first unit which is equality in Indian democracy, and the first chapter is on equality. So students, let's start our chapter 1 which is on equality. India is a democracy. In the class 4th book, I think you already looked at the key elements of the domestic government. These includes pupil participation, the resolution of conflict, and equality and justice. Equality is a key feature of democracy and influences all aspects of its functioning. In this chapter, we are going to learn about equality, what it is, why it is important in a democracy, and whether or not everyone is equal to in India. Let's begin by looking at Kanta's story. So, the story about being with Kanta standing in the line to cast her vote. Look again the various pupils who are standing in the line with her. Kanta recognizes her employer, Ashok Jain, and Chotelal, her neighbor. In a domestic country like India, all adults, irrespective of what religion they belong to, how much education they have had, what caste they are, or whether they are rich or poor, are allowed to vote. This, as you have already read in the class 6 book, is called what? Universal adult franchise. And in an essential aspect of all democracies, the idea of universal adult franchise is based on the idea of equality, because it states that every adult in a country, irrespective of their wealth and the communities he belongs to, has one vote. Kanta is excited to vote and happy that she is equal to all the others because each of them has one vote. But as her day goes on, Kanta becomes less certain about what this equality really means. What it is that makes Kanta unsure. Let's take a look at a daily in her life. She lives in a slum and has a drain behind her house. Her daughter is sick, but she cannot take a day off from work because she needs to borrow money from her employers to take her child to the doctor. Her job as a domestic help is a kind of, we can say, a very difficult job. And finally, she ends her day by again standing in a long line. This line is front of the government hospital. So students, this is line in front of the government hospital is unlike the one in the morning, because most of the pupils standing in it are poor. And at that time, while she was standing in the line, she was thinking about that Jain Madam and Jain Sahab may stand in line to vote, but they never have to do it when their children are sick. So, children, do you think Kanta has enough reason to doubt whether she really is equal? Kanta is one of many people who lives in democratic India and who have the right to vote, but whose daily living and working conditions are far from equal. Apart from being poor, people in India experience inequality in different ways. Let us see what this means by reading the two stories. Each of these is based on real incidents in pupils' lives and reflects the different kinds of inequalities that exist in India. One of the more common forms of inequality in India is the caste system. If you live in rural India, your caste identity is something that you probably learned or experienced very young. If you live in urban India, some of you might think that people no longer believe in caste Now let us read a story about the experiences of a Dalit child attending school. You have already read about Dalits in the class 6 book. Dalit is a term that the so-called lower castes use to address themselves. Dalit means broken, and by using this word, lower castes are pointing to how they were and continue to be seriously discriminated against. I used a term here which is discriminated or discrimination, and I hope you all are well familiar with this term because we already learned about this term in GK book of class 6. So what is discrimination? Treating one person or group worse than others, or we can say impartiality, is called what? Discrimination. Students, with the same context, let's read about Om Prakash Valmiki. Who is Om Prakash Valmiki? Om Prakash Valmiki is a famous Dalit writer. In his autobiography Jutan, he writes, I had to sit away from the others in the class, and that too on the floor. The mat ran out before reaching the spot, and I sat on. Sometimes I would have to sit way behind everybody, right near the door. Sometimes they would beat me without any reason. When he was in class 4, the headmaster asked Om Prakash to sweep the school and the playground. He writes, the playground was way larger than my small physique could handle, and in cleaning it, my back began to ache. My face was covered with dust. Dust had gone inside my mouth. The other children in my class were studying and I was sweeping. Headmaster was sitting in his room and watching me. I was not even allowed to get a drink of water. I swept the whole day from the doors and windows of the school. Om Prakash was made to sweep the school and the playground for the next couple of days, and this only come to an end when his father, who happened to be passing by, saw his son sweeping. He is walking away from the school holding Om Prakash's hand. He said loudly, for all of them to hear, you are a teacher, so I am leaving now. But remember this, much masters will study right here in this school, and not just him, but there will be more coming after him. So this is a cover of Om Prakash Valmiki book Jutan, which talks about his experiences of growing up as a Dalit boy. So students, do you think Om Prakash Valmiki was being treated unequally by his teachers and his classmates? If yes, so why? So students, let's move on the second story, which is based on an incident that took place in one of the India's larger cities and is common practice in most parts of the country. It is a story about Mr. and Mrs. Ansari, who were looking to rent an apartment in the city. They had the money, and so paying the rent was no problem. They went to a property dealer for help to find a place. The dealer informed them that he knew about quite a few apartments that were available for rent. They visited the first apartment and the Ansaris liked it very much and decided to take it. However, when the landlady found out their names, she made an excuses and about what? How she could not rent the house to someone who ate meat because the building did not have any non-vegetarian residents. Both the Ansaris and the property dealer were surprised to hear this because they could smell fish being cooked in the neighbor's house. The same excuse was repeated in the second and the third apartments. Finally, the property dealer told them that they might want to change their names and call themselves Mr. and Mrs. Kumar. In the end, it took a whole month of looking at apartments before they found a landlady who was willing to give them a place on rent. So student, do you think the Ansaris were being treated unequally? What would you do if you were in the Ansari's position and could not find a place to live because some people or someone did not want to live next to you because of the religion you practice? I think you all have understood by now that the caste we are born into, the religion we practice, the class background we come from, whether we are male or female. These are often the things that determine why some people are treated unequally. Om Prakash Valmiki and the Ansaris are being treated unequally on the basis of differences of caste and religion. So students, it's all about the dignity. When a person are treated unequally, their dignity is violated. The dignity of both Om Prakash Valmiki and the Ansaris was violated because of the way in which they were treated. By picking on him and making him swipe the school because of his caste, Om Prakash Valmiki's schoolmates and teachers hurt his dignity badly and made him feel as if he was less than equal to all other students in the school. Being a child, Om Prakash Valmiki could do very little about the situation that he was in. It was his father who, on seeing his son swept, felt angry by this unequal treatment and confronted the teachers. The Ansari's dignity was also hurt when person refused to leave their apartments to them. However, when the property dealer suggested that they change their names, it was their dignity or self-respect that made them refuse this suggestion. So overall, Om Prakash and the Ansaris do not deserve to be treated like this. They deserve the same respect and dignity as anyone else, right? So students, if you were one of the Ansaris, how would you have responded to the suggestion that you change your name? Can you think of an incident in your life in which your dignity was violated? So students, by this different kind of stories of Kanta, Om Prakash Valmiki and the Ansaris, my only aim is to tell you that all of whom experience inequality in different ways. It is through their experiences that I introduce the concept of dignity. The government's role is passing laws and institutions policies is discussed to show that commitments to the elevation of exciting inequalities is a major part of the work that governments undertake. The chapter also briefly introduced an issues of inequality in the United States of America to highlight that this is a global phenomenon and a feature of many democratic countries. So we will continue the rest of the chapter in our next class and we will discuss more about it. Thank you.